I know, Justin, you're trying to be professional here, whatnot, but I really think you can eat your feelings on air. Like,
You know what? I'll take it one step further.
oh, he's gonna drink his
But
feelings on air. Oh man,
he's a drink
yeah,
his
no,
feelings away.
This
yeah.
is a
This is
little
what
bit of bottle
happened.
of bourbon. This is a little bit of bottle of bourbon here.
It's a little bit of that's a bottle of turf toe. That's what we're gonna that's what we're gonna call it from now on. A little bottle of turf toe.
Uh, Justin
Ooh,
just got the shimmy and the shake all at once. He's like,
yeah.
oh.
Ooh.
Life is a Bengals
Yeah.
fan. It
Yeah,
is
I
what it
needed
is.
that. I needed that one.
Yeah.
I needed that. All right. I might
All
have to
right,
do that again, like as we get into the meat potatoes of this show. But yeah.
Breaking Burrow season 6. Let's go on to week 3. Welcome. We are running through the jungle. I'm your host, Brandon Herriott, here with your host, Justin Lacey, your host, Tim Lyons. The guys are drinking, but not in celebration. Those absolutely masking tears. It is what it is. For those of you who haven't heard, someone got hurt. Who was it again?
I think it
What
was a
was
water boy, Bobby Boucher.
Yeah. So come to find out, it's important to block for your quarterback. We didn't do that. We did not do that. But yeah. So Joe Burrow, I mean, if you didn't hear our roaring reactions, I think the three of us are all in the camp that we've probably seen him for the last time. That's very well played. Mr. Don says, just stay on your toes, guys. That's yep. Yeah. So turf toe probably going to sideline Joe Burrow for the rest of the season. Mary Edwards, yeah. Breaking Burrow has been going on since season 2. I coined that phrase with Tim before the podcast was alive. Breaking Burrow season 2, season 3. We're now at season 6, episode 3. And I don't understand why you kill off the main character so early in the season. It's crazy to me, but whatever. It is what it is. We are now the Jake Browning-led Cincinnati Bengals. I'm here for it. I'm going to root for him still. It is what it is. We still got, to me, I think the best wide receiver on the planet. There's going to be a lot to say about that in this game here. Sunday, 1 o'clock in Minnesota against the Vikings. Justin Jefferson with Carson Wentz.
Did you just say Carson Wentz?
That's who's starting for Minnesota. Yes, sir.
Yeah.
JJ McCarthy's out with a high ankle sprain.
I'll take Jake Browning any day over Wentz.
Aaron Jones is out. He's out. He's out for at least 4 weeks right now. So that they're banged up a little bit too. The Minnesota Vikings are. Listen, Jake Browning already has a win against the Minnesota Vikings in probably my favorite T. Higgins catch of all time.
Yep, that was beautiful.
There's that. But yeah, man. I mean, do anybody want to make a comment on State of the Union address, Justin?
Oh boy, for those that are just now tuning in and actually miss the cold open shot that I took live on the air. That was fun. I'm not gonna lie, that was fun. I needed that because I have been Mr. Negative Nancy about everything. I felt like that there has been no hope that I can really cling on to regarding the season, and it's just started. And I am not going to just be all gloom and doom because of Burrow's injury. I think more of anything, man, this is just annoying, that we're here. And we had the hopes that we thought that he was going to sort of move past this injury riddled kind of, characteristic regarding his quarterback style of play. But here we are again, man, and it's feel like that he's never going to really now shake the allegation of being injury prone when it comes to the national media. You're already seeing a lot of the egregious takes. Should Joe Burrow leave Cincinnati to be successful? Whereas if you joined us on a Raw Reaction show, I've kind of made it a little bit of twofold argument to where yes, this offensive line, as great as I felt as far as like the personnel that they put out there on the field, even with Dalton Reisner and whatnot coming in, they were just not good this past Sunday. And this has just been a theme of Joe Burrow's Bengal career since he became a Bengal. But I'm also pointing the finger a little bit at Joe too and his play style as far as like meshing with the offensive play calling of Zach Taylor, who I am also not high on. I feel like that there's a little bit of a discrepancy there, but bottom line is we're just not in a fun place right now as Bengal fans. But at the end of the day, they got to trot out on whoever's going to be playing quarterback. Obviously, Jake Browning is obviously our guy for now. They did sign old Mike White. For a lot of Bengals fans that have what's the word that I'm thinking of? The Bengal fans that want to bring up old stuff from losing to them during the 2021 season, triggering moments. Yeah. The Bengals have brought him in, and then the Bengals also brought Sean Clifford, a former backup quarterback for the Green Bay Packers. I think he was on their practice squad, but man, you just need to get all hands on deck when it comes to this season because it's going to be a long stretch without Burrow. And quite frankly, I don't even know if I'm convinced if Joe Burrow is going to even come back this year. So we'll see, man. We'll see.
I'm pretty confident he does not, but that's just me. Tim, you want any comments you want to make for the State of the Union address here?
Yeah, there's a lot of beer to drink.
Right.
A lot of beer to drink. A lot of football to watch. A lot of. I'm gonna be optimistic. I told you guys at the end of last Roaring Reactions on Monday that I was gonna be optimistic. So you know what? So for the last 2 weeks, I've been drinking a pub beer. This is week 3. I'm drinking a pub beer. I think if I keep this up, we keep winning football games. I don't care if we got Jake Browning back there or Mike White. I don't care. We're gonna win some football games. That's all I gotta say. They got to block better. They got to figure out this offense for Joe Burrow when he does return, because like I stated before, I just believe that this offense is ran differently, of course, when Joe Burrow's in there, but it's like the offensive line can't keep up, or can't do what Joe needs him to do. But when we have Jake Browning in there, they're blocking PFF grade of 72 for Jake Browning. When Joe was out with his injuries a couple years ago, I think the overall was like 69%. If I remember what the PFF grade was, like 69. I always say percent. I don't know why, but it's like 69. But anyways, it's just the blocking needs to get better. We need to really, like Justin said last, we need to make sure we're bringing in these new offensive linemen and stuff early at the beginning of off season, not be waiting for, the week before we're getting ready to play a football game against the Browns and doing all this bullshit. It's just, we can't continue to do this, but hey, a lot of football. There's a lot of beer to drink. Hooday.
Yeah, I had a buddy of mine that was in alcohol sales. He used to always say, when times are tough and things are down, it's good to be in alcohol sales because it helps kind of mask all the pain and take away the worries. And when things are going great and going well, it's good to be in alcohol sales. Everybody wants to celebrate. So, yeah, that's what it reminds me of. It's always good to be in alcohol sales. Listen, Fire Don,
I was just about to point that comment out.
he says Burrow has the opportunity to become the next Andrew Luck. If a QB with that much talent keeps taking unnecessary hits, it'll be a Colt situation all over again with a random out of the blue retire. Not out of the realm of possibility.
Yeah.
I would say unprobable because of how much Joe Burrow loves football and whatnot.
Yeah.
But 4 or 5 years into in Andrew Luck's career, I would have said the same thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Andrew Luck also came from a football family, also was football very. He just got sick and tired of getting hit, and he's taken less. He took less sacks through 5 seasons than Burrow did. So
I get this. I get the similarities between the two, but I think it's a little bit different situations, even though the situations are very eerily similar. Andrew Luck was walking into a situation similar to Burrow, coming off of the Peyton Manning era. They had the 1 year blip where they were just horrible, and then they got Andrew Luck. But they also turned over a pretty significant chunk of that old Peyton Manning roster. They only kept, I think, like 4 guys from that Peyton Manning holdover team, Reggie Wayne being one of those guys included. But ultimately, in the end, they asked Andrew Luck to do quite a lot, just kind of like how the Bengals are asking Joe Burrow to do a lot. It's an ugly comparison just because of the nature of how he abruptly retired after going into 2019, and that was unfortunate. And no one wants to hear that comparison to your Bengals fans, but at this point, you sort of have to understand that could potentially happen, or to where we get to a point where the Bengals and the organization and Joe Burrow are not going to see eye to eye when it comes to the longevity of his career, and there's going to be an impasse here. So I don't think it's an abrupt retirement, but I do think that it is in the realm of possibility to the which Joe Burrow finds greener pastures when it comes to his health somewhere else if it gets to this point again. So I don't want to think of that, obviously, because who would this Bengals team and this Bengals organization be without Joe Burrow? But it's you have to call it what it is, that if this stuff like this continues, it can happen.
yeah, you know what? I agree with you in this. I think it's more likely that he forces his hand somewhere else than it is that he retires.
Yeah, right,
I
right.
agree.
That's what I'm getting at. So yeah, for sure.
All right. That's it. We're done taking the temperature of the team. We're on to we can't say on to Cincinnati. That was Belichick. We're on to Minnesota. There we go. We're on to Minnesota. Let's talk keys to the game. Keys to the game. Here we go. We got a couple of MASH units. Going to be strapping them on and going out there and playing a hard-nosed game in Minnesota. 1 o'clock start. Was it a 3-point or 3.5 point spread? I think so. It's a fairly close matchup here. They've got. I'm gonna start on the offensive side of the ball for the Bengals on offense. What do you think keys to the game are, Tim? I'm gonna throw it to you first.
Well, if you've seen what Minnesota did last week, and don't get me wrong, I think Bijan is a better running back than Chase Brown and what's the other guy's name? Tyler Gier.
There's a very small list of people that are not that are better than Bijan Robinson.
Yeah, so Minnesota, they allowed over 200 yards rushing. They ran the ball. They were not defending the run game at all. Pretty much, they were running the ball. Then, of course, when it got down to the red zone, I think if the Bengals can take advantage of that weakness in their defense in the run game, I think that could be a great opportunity for us. But I just hope that they don't get stupid and just let Jake Browning try throwing the ball 30 times, 40 times, and throwing 3 or 4 picks and all this stuff, because it's Jake Browning. They need to run the ball. They need to, and Jake's really good under center too. Don't get me wrong. I think he's good under center. We saw better blocking for Jake Browning when Burrow went out. So I think if they utilize the run game, bring in, I think they would have a great opportunity with Chase Brown and, P. Ryan, maybe get the rookie Taj Brooks out there, give them some run game, because we can't lean on just Jake Browning. Jake Browning is not Joe Burrow. So running the damn ball and doing it positively, Chase Brown averaging 4.5 yards a carry. I think that's what our great opportunity is, and then we'll get those chances for Jake to do some play actions and get Chase in some different looks, some slot looks, wide receiver 1 and 2 looks, get him all over the field. Chase Brown's going to be our number one man. He always is Jamar Chase is our number one man. But yeah, I just definitely believe that if they run the damn ball and they're successful at it, it'll make a great opportunity against the Vikings.
Man, I would have taken the under. You almost hit 15 minutes before you said running the damn ball. I would have been under 12 for sure. I thought that was going to sneak in there earlier. So good on you for, holding it close to the vest, getting it in there.
Run the damn ball. There we go.
All right. Justin, for you, what's the offensive key to the game here?
I'm going to be honest with you. This is not a strong matchup that we like to think that it is. With Brian Flores and company running this base of the 3-4 defense of the Minnesota Vikings, I'm not going to lie. With Jake Brown and the quarterback, I'm not really high on the matchups that even though when you look at the personnel what the Bengals have with the receivers, the running backs, and the tight ends against their 3-4 base set. They got Jonathan Allen, Javon Hargrave, and Jalen Redmond. Those are the three guys that are the down linemen. But their linebacking core, in my opinion, is really one of the better linebacker cores in the league, with Ivan Pace Jr. being the heart and soul of the defense. Obviously, they're a little bit nicked up there with Jonathan Grenard and Andrew Van Ginkel being nicked up a little bit there. I do expect those guys to tough it out and play this week, but it's one of those things as to where I don't know if Zach Taylor is creative enough, even though we saw it a couple years ago, if he's creative enough to be able to call a game that can outperform their defense with the personnel that they have compared to with the personnel we have. We just know you better do what the hell you can to get the ball to Jamar and T. I do think that the opportunity in this game is going to center heavily focused around the Bengals tight ends. Noah Fant has been playing pretty solid since he got here, although it wasn't like eye-popping numbers. But him and Mike Gesicki, those are the two guys that I would absolutely just target throughout this entire game, because I think that you can get a beat up on their linebackers, even their safeties and corners, with the mismatches and their sizes advantage that you have with those guys. But who knows if they're going to be very creative to scheme up those guys. And I think that Jamar, he's just a one-of-one type of guy. I just think that we're not at the premier advantage. I do like their corners too, with Byron Murphy Jr. in the fold there. They are going to be missing guys like Jeffrey Okudah, but Jeff Okudah is not one of their main starters. It's Isaiah Rodgers and Byron Murphy Jr. And Harrison Smith is still one of the captains of the defense, kind of like their version of Jesse Bates, even though he's a little bit of an older veteran there. So I do like their personnel that they have. I think Brian Flores is very creative. I think the opportunity there could be for the Bengals. Yes, Chase Brown needs to run the ball, but I think they're going to have a little bit of a tough time. If they're not creative running the ball, they're going to have a little tough time running the ball on the teeth of this defense, in my opinion. So, and they're not diversified enough. I need to see a little bit more action here. Where's Taj Brooks? Get him in the fold, because it can't just be all Chase Brown and nothing. Kind of split a little bit of carries, get a little creative. You got Jamar Chase. Put him in, taking some snaps in the backfield and do some wheel routes, do some quick little pitches. I did see them do that when Jake Brown came in the game, and then the second half, they did that little pitch forward pass to Jamar Chase. He got a few yards. Do stuff like that to get a little bit more creative on a half/pass and run type of, RPO when it comes to a guy like Jamar Chase. Yeah. But you got to find a way to kind of get the creative play designs out there, because if not, Brian Flores and they're going to tee the hell off on you, and it's going to be another long fight on the road.
Do you guys know who the second leading rusher is for the Bengals right now? Joe Burrow. Do you know who the third leading rusher is for the Bengals right now? Jake Browning. Wow. No other running back other than Chase Brown has a carry this season. Hello? Yeah. What the hell are we doing? Listen, let's go back to Mary Edwards' comment here about Zach Taylor being a shit play caller. Yeah. We were all pretty excited about Taj Brooks and the way he looked in the preseason. I'm not saying you got to go out there and give him 15 carries a game, but for crying out loud, run somebody out there and hand them the ball so they don't know every time that Chase Brown is it in there that you're going to throw the damn ball. You have to keep people off balance. You cannot have tendencies like that. If I'd known anything, for being a Michigan fan, I've been privileged enough to actually meet and get to know Connor Stallions. His whole premise, everybody's worried about stealing signs, and it's all on tendencies. When you line up a certain way, what's your tendency for that to be a run play versus a pass play? Well, for crying out loud, if the personnel's already telling you what the hell it's going to be, it's not going to be a run if he's not in there. What are we doing? For Christ's sakes. That's all on the head coaching. To me, it's find the damn run game, some semblance of it. I don't care. You have to give the ball to either Taj Brooks or Samaje Perine, whether it works or it doesn't work. They have to run the ball this game. It can't be just one person.
Amen.
So that's my offensive key to the game. Defensive key to the game. Justin, I'll throw it right back to you. Let you go first this time. What's your defensive key to the game for the Bengals?
Now, the obvious would be that, yes, you got the opportunity here because J.J. McCarthy is out, even though he looked like dog water against the vaunted now Atlanta Falcons defense, who have changed over personnel themselves there. But that'll be the eye-popping eye test. But the run defense got to be better. They just have to stand strong in this game. I'm not going to lie. I still don't like this Bengals defense. Yes, I know that they've been getting a few turnovers. I understand that they've been getting some interceptions off of tip passes and overthrows, but I still don't like the overall totality of this defense of Al Golden so far. And we knew that this was going to be a question mark early in the season, but we were just hoping that the offense was going to be good enough to help them overcome it. In my opinion, I feel like that after 2 weeks, even with Joe and the injury and all that stuff, I still don't feel great about the team and the makeup where this defense is at personally. Yes, Aaron Jones will not be playing, but they also got a very capable running back in Jordan Mason, who's a thumper in the backfield. They also got a guy named Xavier Scott, who I haven't really seen much play, but he's going to be their 1-2 backup. And you can't forget about their their pass catchers. Even though Jordan Addison's suspended, they still got Jettis out there. He's 1A and 1B along with him and Jamar. We know this. Jalen Naylor and Adam Thielen. Adam Thielen's the old Wiley veteran, but the theme with the Bengals defense, as we've said it for many, 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 many years now, has been TJ Hawkinson. They cannot cover tight ends. Tight ends being a thing for many, many years. But TJ Hawkinson is a big play making tight end. And quite frankly, I don't know if the Bengals are good enough to cover the tight end in this particular game because Carson Wentz, while he may not be the same Carson Wentz that helped them get to that 2017 Super Bowl, he's still a very capable quarterback enough to be able to read the defenses and to make the right reads and to make the right throws, even though he might oversell some passes here and there. You do have an opportunity to force some turnovers and get some pressure on him. But however, with the Bengals defense, they have not been able to generate any pressure. You're not going to have Shamar Stewart in this game. He's already been ruled out. Trey Henderson is still back to what it was before. It's Trey Henderson or nobody. I think the Bengals linebackers can be a little bit of an advantage when it comes to covering out in space because I do like what Demetrius Knight has been showing. I also like Barrett Carter if he gets some snaps and the opportunity for him in this game to be able to show what he can do. Logan Wilson did a little bit of a drop off in his play from the Cleveland game to the Jacksonville game, but he can have the opportunity to make up his play by being the red dot, the one that reads the communication on his helmet, so that way he can get his team and unit out there in space. Overall, I feel like that the Bengals defense, if they can't yield and generate any pressure, this offensive line has been remade a little bit with Will Freeze at right guard, Ryan Kelly at center. Christian Darrisaw is back at practice now, so he's not going to be out. He's one of the better left tackles in the game when he's healthy. They got Donovan Jackson, was a former tackle converted to a left guard, and then Brian O'Neill, their you don't want to call him a star-studded tackle, but they're a solid tackle. So with that being said, you can still get pressure on the quarterback with this O-line. And then Will Freeze, that was a guy in free agency that Bengals fans wanted and clamored for before he was plucked and picked up by the Vikings during free agency period. Well, he's here in Minnesota. He's been okay. I don't think that he's been anything like to ride home about. But again, it's early. It's only been 2 weeks. But if the Bengals, if they generally realistically can't generate pressure in this game, watch out.
You know the reason why you've not seen much on Xavier Scott? Because he played college ball at UConn and then Maine, and he has 0 stats in his NFL career. So good reason why you don't know a whole ton about him as their backup running back.
Well,
they assigned
also,
Cam Akers off of the trash pile.
I did see that. Yeah, I did see that too. I'm going to
like
point
the
out
third or fourth time he's been in Minnesota too.
Yeah.
So let me answer Austin's art real quick before we toss it back over to you, Tim, with your thoughts about what about Osai? You know, saying that he could have used a little bit of work, bro. At this point, I'm done. I'm not even sold on Osai. Osai and Miles Murphy. I need to see it to believe it. Otherwise, I'm not going to buy into those guys. I'm just going to leave it at that.
All right, Tim. What about your keys on the defensive side?
Well, I'm going to go the opposite way that Justin was going. I believe that our defensive line needs to get as much pressure on Carson Wentz as possible. They allowed 6 sacks last week against the Atlanta Falcons. That offensive line was getting beat the hell up by Atlanta. So I'm going to say, put in as much pressure on Carson Wentz because Carson Wentz is coming, I can't remember the last game he's played. He's actually started a game, what is it, back in 2020 was the last time he started a game for maybe Philadelphia. I don't remember. But anyways, I believe if we can get enough pressure on Carson Wentz, because that offensive line is not the best. It actually is not the best.
Can I help you out with that? With
what's that?
Your offensive line take here? Starting left tackle, questionable. Backup left tackle, questionable. Starting left guard, questionable. Starting center, IR. Backup center, questionable. Starting right tackle, IR. So
okay, so get pressure on damn Carson Wentz and beat him the hell up. I think that's the key to the game. But also, I agree with Justin. We cannot, tight ends have been our kryptonite. The run game and tight ends have been our kryptonite for all these seasons. I don't care who the defensive coordinator is, it's our kryptonite. Can Mason go out there and have a good game? It's a possibility he could. But I believe that if we put enough pressure and break those blocks, get in there and cause havoc, tackles for losses, sacks, it could be a long day for Carson Wentz coming, having his first start of the season in, like I said, forever ago. But I need to see better. I need to see better linebacker play by our linebackers as well. I just have not seen it. It's we have a flash here and there, but that's it. It seems like Logan Wilson's just, he'll have his flash, his flash. Night he'll have a flash. It's just the linebacker core. They're just not playing as good as I believe that they can, especially when it comes to run support. Because what the hell else are they doing when they're running the football? What are they doing? Are they just sitting there waiting for them to break that 5 yard mark and finally get a tackle? Come on, you got to have some kind of just like Brandon said, you come out in formations, you kind of have a clue when they're going to run the ball. I've watched enough football. I've played enough Madden. When they come out in these certain formations and certain players are out there on the field, they're going to do. You're going to assume they're going to do X, Y, and Z. But our defense has got to. Those linebackers have to step up, and definitely, like I said, that defensive line absolutely has to get as much pressure. I don't care if we have Bobby Boucher out there on the defensive line. We need to get as much pressure on Carson Wentz and break up to break up that run game as much as possible, or it's just going to end up being a 35, 38 shootout, and it's just going to be a long day for all of us. And here comes the heart meds again.
On top of that offensive line, we got fullback CJ Ham out. You've got Rondell Moore, IR. You've got Jordan Addison suspended. You got Aaron Jones, IR. You got JJ McCarthy out.
Mm-hmm.
The two things that this spells for me is, one, you have to play physical. You have to hit people. You have to make them, you have to break their spirit more than they break yours.
Mm-hmm.
And the only other thing when I look at this that can beat you on paper is Justin Jefferson. Don't let him beat you. Scheme that up, whatever that is, and then play physical. I think those are the two things on defense that need to do. I'm going to take a quick break here, and then when we come back, we'll talk about the single person that's most important for the Bengals in this game, and then we'll give you our predictions, offensive, defensive player of the game, and the score. But we will get to that after a word from our sponsors. All right, welcome back to Runnin Thru the Jungle. We're going to get right into it. Single most important person for the Cincinnati Bengals here going into this game. If you haven't already, by the way, like, subscribe, tell a friend to tell a friend, share. We appreciate you guys. Justin, who do you think the single most important person for the Bengals in this game is?
Are we going offense and defense like the last time, or are we doing just overall?
Single, the one single person that's most important, and then we'll go into our game ball predictions.
Okay. I'm going Jamar Chase as the single most important person on the day of the game for the Bengals. And it's obvious, man, because he's the best offensive player on the field, even though that the field will feature Justin Jefferson too. Coming off of a Triple Crown season, I believe that he was the guy that single-handedly carried the Bengals offense to a win last week, even though I know that Jake Browning did do like the go-ahead quarterback sneak. If he didn't get the ball to Jamar Chase the way that he did, scheming him open and all that good stuff, Jamar single-handedly helped electrify that offense again when it felt like we were just dead in the wire, just quiet. He was the guy that got you out of it. He is the guy that's the most important. I'm going to just keep it simple, and it's Jamar.
All right. Tim, single most important person on for the Bengals on Sunday.
I'm going to have to say it's the guy throwing Jamar Chase the ball, Jake Browning. He's got to be smart with the ball. He's got to not play scared either. He's got to go out there, be confident what he's, in the offense that Zach's going to call. He just cannot hesitate. But he's got to be smart with the ball. If he is not getting the ball out fast enough to, catch Jamar on a slant or, on a quick pass, it's going to be a long day. Jake Browning's got to be smart with the ball. He's got to, he's got to sell those play actions when he does. And he just got to, he's got to show up like he's not just a backup now. He's a starter. He's a stud on the field. Like right now we're looking at two quarterbacks that, I believe Jake Browning's better than Carson Wentz. Called me biased or what, but I just still believe it's Jake Browning. Jake Browning has to be smart on Sunday.
All right. I had two people here, depending on if somebody took one of mine or not. I had Jake Browning as the first one. I think he needs to limit the turnovers. I don't think he's got to play perfect. I agree with you. He's got to have confidence and still take some shots. So if he has a turnover, I'm good. 3 turnovers, I'm not. The other person I think that is a key here, who I don't think's played his best ball yet and needs to play better in this game, is DJ Turner. Period, point blank. He's got the most speed out there, and I think that he needs to help out, whether that's some sort of bracket coverage with Justin Jefferson or just better coverage on outside of Justin Jefferson so we can double Justin Jefferson. I think DJ Turner has to play better than he has been. So that's the reason why I give him that one. All right, so now we'll go to our offensive player of the game ball predictions. Justin, who is your prediction for the offensive player of the game this week against the Vikings?
I'm actually going to predict T. Higgins. Last time these two teams played 2 years ago, T. Higgins had the game of his life, and including that crazy field stretcher extension of an arm to get it across the end zone. That was one of the better T. Higgins games that I've watched. And quite frankly, I think that he has an opportunity with all of the camera focus is going to be on Jamar Chase and Justin Jefferson as the two big dogs duking it out for the top dog of best wide receiver in the league. There's going to be somebody you want to forget about. And I think that T. Higgins is the guy for the Bengals that the Vikings can potentially once again forget about, and he can just catch balls over their head too. We already see what T can do as catching balls down the seam, down the field. You see him, split 2 double coverage guys and caught a touchdown pass against Jacksonville. So I'm going to go with him.
I like it. I like that call a lot. Tim, who you got for your offensive Game ball. Prediction. And you are muted. That's a fine.
Sorry, my bad.
All good.
I'm gonna have to say, because you guys know what I already said. Run the damn football. Chase Brown. Chase Brown's gonna go out there and have 100-yard rushing, a touchdown, maybe some reception. So I'm gonna give it to Chase Brown. I just, for some reason, I just feel like we're gonna come out there and scheme a run, a run game, kind of get more pressure off of Jake Browning. But yeah, I'm saying Chase Brown.
I agree with you for different reasons. Chase Brown has been averaging 15 carries. I think that's probably going to go up a little bit with no Joe Burrow there. So I think he's going to get at least 15 carries, if not 15 to 20. And the way Chase Brown is, he's lightning. He's not thunder, right?
Right.
So odds to me say that sooner or later he breaks a big one. So I think that's going to be part of it. I think the other part here is we're talking about the continuity and offensive line. This is, now week 2 that these guys have gotten to practice all together, got to play together as a cohesive unit after, the injury to Patrick in week 1. So with that and with a little bit, I guarantee you there was more of a focus on run blocking in this past week for sure, and establishing the run to help that out. That's the reason why I'm going to take Chase Brown there as well. Defensive player of the game, Justin, who you got?
Keeping it simple, I'm going with Trey Hendrickson. We already talked about as far as the keys for the Bengals defense to be able to do some sort of added pressure in the game. The only guy that's reliable is Trey. No one else. So I'm sticking with him.
Tim?
Trey Hendrickson. Justin said it all. Trey Hendrickson.
All right. Well, that's a clean sweep. I think, listen, after missing some of training camp, I think now you're hitting week 3 and he's going to be hitting his stride. And with an offensive line that's overmatched, you look at some of that last year when he played against offensive lines that didn't have starters or had the backups in there or were overmatched. He fed. He had 3 sack games and 2 sack games and 4 fumbles. I see a big game here for Trey because of that. So let's go into the score predictions. Tim, I'll throw it back to you. What's your score prediction for Sunday, Minnesota Vikings?
Score prediction is going to be, you know what? It's going to be a barn burner in Minnesota. It's going to be 38 to 30, or 38 to 35 Cincinnati.
Woo! He's taking the over, folks.
I am.
Justin, what's your score prediction?
Obviously, the Bengals have a chance on the road to steal one, but I think that with the lingering emotions that's clouding over this team's head with Joe Burrow, I think they slip up here. And I think that we will be in for a long game. I think this is the game that Justin Jefferson scores a touchdown and actually has a really good game against the Bengals, in my opinion. I just don't trust the Bengals corners in this one, although I don't trust Carson Wentz either, but I guess I think that in an ugly kind of slug-it-out fest on the road, Minnesota's pissed off. They should have played better at home last week against the Atlanta Falcons. I think the Bengals dropped this one, even though I do see the opportunity in the path for them to win this game here and go 3-0. I'm going to go with the Vikings in the score prediction of 22 to 18.
All right, so he's got an 18-22 Vikings win. I have a similar total score there. I'm gonna say this. I'm gonna predict this one to be a win. I think it's between this one and the Broncos one. I still think I'm gonna give it the Broncos the benefit of the doubt for being on Monday Night Football, and I still think we're gonna start 3-0 and then lose 3 straight. I'm gonna throw that out there.
I can see that.
So I'm gonna take the Bengals here, 23-20 in a close one. But listen, that gauntlet, you go Broncos, Lions, Packers before you have the Steelers come home. Like it's a tough road ahead of us. So We need to get this one, so there's might be a little bit of homer in my 23-20 pick, but I'm gonna take it. Tim, you got any final words for the people on the way out the door? Anything you want to say about football or otherwise?
Thank you guys, of course, for joining Running Through the Jungle. We do truly appreciate you guys. Austin Art's always here, Mary Edwards. We appreciate your guys' support. Don't forget to hit that like button, and don't forget to subscribe and share with your friends. Hit that little bell to alert you when we know us crew are on, or Brandon's over there doing pay dirt, or if he's on the homies. You get that notification. Support us. Thank you guys again so much for joining us. Hooday.
All right, Justin. That was well said by Tim. What do you got for parting shot?
Literally a parting shot. Let's do it one more time. Here we go.
And the parting shot has literally become a parting shot. Little bourbon, little woo. Oh yeah, that's
God. Let's go. All right. Give me a little bit of the giggles there. So let's go. All right.
Normally,
that's my parting shot. Literally a shot.
Normally, I like to be the one here having fun, talking trash, whatever it might be. I got a little something I want to say this time, though. Listen, I don't know what's going on in your life. I don't know what you're seeing from other people or what's around you. We're seeing all kinds of crazy stuff in the world right now. It's not that bad. Life's not that bad. It's not that serious. It's not that serious when your quarterback gets hurt. There's more to loving life and loving family and loving friends. It's not that serious that people don't have the same political beliefs as you. People don't have the same religious beliefs as you. People don't have. I can't even tell you how much I disagree with some of my closest friends about the strangest things. I don't care. At the end of the day, it's about being there for one another, being a solid human being, controlling your 3 feet, and loving each other. That's my message here. Everybody take a deep breath and treat each other right. I'm sick of this. It's craziness. The world has become an odd place, so it's not that damn serious. Enjoy the day. Enjoy your weekend. Catch us. We got a crossover Bengals coming here with Dave from the Skull Show or whatever the heck it's called. I don't know. Some Vikings nonsense. So we got to go on there and do that. But check us out and be back here next week, Wednesday, 8:05-ish, as we are running through the jungle.